Usually I'm slightly nervous, and the nerves are coming back now that we're starting to record. But I feel comfortable. It's nice. I feel like it's a nice little setup.
Nice chairs. You get to lean back.
Yeah, a little bit more space. I mean, you should see. Like you can't, but you can, but they can't. One of them can't. Well, I don't want to tell them about the secret view, Cesar. But it's pretty crazy back here.
Oh, pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So hope you guys like it. We have a new setup. Hopefully
Yeah.
you get just better from here.
Just slightly better.
Well, one step at a time.
Yeah,
Like they all say.
that's
So,
right.
how are you though?
I am fantastic. Thanks for asking.
What's R&D been up to lately?
We have been, I personally, I've been kind of tinkering around with some of our older projects, or
Love tinkering.
I do. Some of the projects, we do. Some of the projects that we've had in the pipeline for a little bit. So the dust monitoring that we're doing on South Lamar, 1301 South Lamar project, want to generate some sort of automated report for that so that we're actually viewing the data rather than it just sitting somewhere.
How long have those been out there? A couple months now.
The latest one's been out there since February, early February, because that was some issues. But then the first one I think was November or December. Yeah, May, December, I think. So a fair amount of data. So that's exciting. So actually doing something with that data. And then my favorite, the digital safety orientation form. That one is, we're rolling it out on another job site. Potentially, well, they could be using it right now for all I know. So this is I think it's East Palmer, 717 East Palmer. Doug Watts is kind of spearheading.
Doug Watts.
Yeah, he sent me a little cute little what is it? Not emojis. What are the little
GIF.
No, it's like when
Avatar.
Yeah. What are those called? Emoticons. Emoticons?
The ones that move.
No, the ones that are like you. Anyway, we're spending too much time on this. But yeah, he seemed really nice. I haven't actually met him in person, and then a little project to help you out. The VDC managers kind of streamline some of your pipeline, I suppose, with Precon. Helping you out.
I know. Thank you. Appreciate it. I was hoping you would bring it up.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, hopefully that probably will, for those that don't know, trying to kind of streamline our process, and we're trying to improve our relationship with Precon. Hoping this might be a little drop in the bucket,
right,
as they say downtown.
If we can like streamline any internal process, right? If it's not just you, right? If there's any other internal process, like if we can highlight something here, right?
No, I agree.
Yeah,
that's definitely worth exploring. I'm looking forward to what you come up with.
Yeah,
thank you for that.
I do have one more thing though.
Oh.
That's what I'm working on. Mr. James Donald Holmes, though, he is compiling the report from our dialogues that we've done.
This is from the tour you did, right?
Yes. So we went around to different regions. We talked to 25. He's not giving me a number. About 25 people, and then we have about almost 100 surveys that people sent in. And so we're kind of compiling that data, and James is kind of sifting through it and using some fancy AI models to kind of summarize and get at what are the key points in some of those dialogues. And so he's been crafting that report, so we'll be able to tell you what we did, why we did it, and what we found. And this will again be our path forward as the R&D department. So all crowdsourced, I suppose, from the company on how R&D will be.
Are you guys using any of that fancy Chat GPT?
We are, yes. We used OpenAI's Whisper to transcribe.
A whisper or whisper?
They transcribed the dialogues, and then we're using the new GPT-4, which is apparently miles beyond GPT-3.
One number ahead.
Actually, I think it's even less. I think it's 3.5 was the last one. So 0.5 miles ahead. But it's eons in AI.
Going by very fast.
Yeah.
Like in my day was Chat GPT.
Yeah, that was like 2 weeks ago. Right? But yeah, so that hopefully that report will come out shortly, and it'll be distributed to all, so they can kind of see what we're up to and what we will be up to.
That's pretty neat. Speaking of reports, this is not quite a report, but we have a recap that was sent out in February.
Yes.
You all should have gotten an email a couple of weeks ago, and that was sent out with our marketing team.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to reference back on your email and just search recap February. If not, you can always go to the home SharePoint site. And I learned today on the left side, there's actually a tab that says recap.
Oh, really? There is?
Yeah.
Because there's other, like, Power BI dashboard. There's a dashboard.
There's a dashboard. Right? It's actually right underneath dashboard. There's a recap.
Now I know exactly where it is.
Yeah, no, it's pretty neat. So if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to check it out. There's a lot of cool things happening in RO, so it's a nice chance for you to see people that are being spotlighted spotlighted. Spotlighted. You get to see things that are happening as well across the departments and across regions. So, have you checked that out yourself?
I perused through it. Yes. Yeah, I perused through it. I think you're on it, right? Or am I thinking of the older one?
No, we do have one of our all-star VDC people highlighted on it.
Oh yes.
I'll leave it as suspense.
I-
You to check it out.
Okay, I won't try to figure out.
Clearly,
who
have
it
not
is.
checked it out.
I don't remember their name.
Reading it. Uh, you're good.
Oh.
And then I think you mentioned earlier over lunch that there's the kickball.
Yes.
Can you remind us what that is and when it's happening?
The Construction Leadership Council kickball event.
Ooh. Have you been stretching?
I have not.
I know you have bad hammies.
I
know you don't like to tell people, but you don't stretch.
Okay. Fine. I have not been stretching, no. But that is March 31st, so next Friday. Not this, of course. Next Friday. The whole day, 9 to 4. So I think we only have 6 people signed up currently, and we need field a team of 12. But I know Nick Hatcher he's on a warpath to enlist people. And I think maybe Zach Coker might try to get some.
Are you guys sending a email? Reminder email?
Perhaps Mr. Holmes might, but it can, and it doesn't have to be RO people, right? It can be your spouses, your family, other GCs, people you know in the industry. It doesn't necessarily have to be all RO. It's going to be an RO team, so if they want to put on it's the RO jersey, they're going to have to. But.
And that's next Friday, all day.
Next Friday, 9 to 4.
Exciting.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
Oh, you know what? You should be even more excited about.
What is that?
We have a new segment. Today.
Oh, do we?
I know we typically have hard hat question segment.
Fan favorite.
But also our fans are asking for more.
Right.
Asking to mix up the playing field. So we are introducing a new segment. Does not have a name yet.
No name.
But if you in the audience or the YouTube viewers have a name for this segment, send it over. You might get a shout out next time.
What is it generally?
Well, the idea, Dr. Fritz, is to just talk about current events of construction projects happening not only in our city, not only in our country, but maybe international as well. There's a lot of cool projects out there. So nice to hear about those and see what they're doing.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to cut it short this time.
I know. Because
we're just going to give them a little teaser.
Ooh.
And I feel like yours are a little bit more interesting than mine, so I think you should. And I've been talking a lot. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Okay. Plus, I'm very interested by them.
Okay, I'll talk about the one.
He says he's just ready to go. Yeah.
The one that I found that was actually pretty interesting since we do build some sky rises. I recently learned if you have over in New York City, the Big Apple
doesn't exist.
The 161 Maiden Lane project. There's a high rise that has reached a stop because they found out it's leaning close to 3 inches, which is not a good thing.
Is it not?
Nope, you don't want your building to be leaning.
It's in construction, right?
It's stopped construction. Yeah, there's a few missing panels. It's not fully built out. I know it's a prime location because I think it faces East Manhattan.
Oh, I love East Manhattan.
Right, love it. Great walk in the park. But it's a pretty tall building, but the fact that it's leaning 3 inches,
why is it leaning?
So there's actually an undergoing case. But there's no full reason as to what it could be. It could be an outside force. The guesses are there might be an issue with the foundation.
Makes sense.
But they still haven't. There's no verdict. The verdict's out. That's right. It hasn't been decided yet.
The what is it? The
verdict.
No, it's not the verdict. The jury's out.
The jury's out.
I think, yeah.
But that's pretty interesting. There used to be tenants already ready to lease those units.
Oh, really?
But a lot of them have backed out just because of this scenario.
Well, plus it's going to be delayed, I assume, once they try to figure this crap out.
Yeah. Beep. Yeah. Kind of, I would say good news, but just some news happening in another state.
Yeah.
So that's a little sneak peek of what we're trying to bring with this new segment.
If you have an idea, let us know on the name. Or a cool project, I guess, too. You can send that in, too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to bring up on the...
No, we'll save it. Keep people guessing. What projects are going on?
I want to give our guests a lot of time.
Ample time to introduce her.
Because have you met her? I know you haven't really had the honor.
I have not. No. When I was in Houston, she was out with a client.
She's busy. She's a working woman.
Sure she is. Yes.
She, from the few times I've talked to her, you can tell she's really a walking embodiment of the RO core value of commitment to quality.
Oh wow.
She's always out there. She's super friendly. She's very outgoing, and she's always taking care of her clients. She wants to make sure
Nice.
we are successful.
Yeah.
Uh, and I know, I mean, she's actually a little sneak peek. She's leading the Houston office.
Oh, that
So
narrows it down.
I know she's the definition of boss lady.
Oh.
She's very charismatic and driven, and an incredible leader. So without further ado, we know we have Queen Bee in Houston, but Jennifer Gonzalez is another type of royalty down there. So can't wait to learn more about her.
Yay, Jennifer.
We'll be talking to Jennifer right after this commercial.
Hagen, I have a conundrum here.
What's that?
We have so many great people at RO, and I just wish there was a way I could just give them a little pat in the back, a high five, or one of these. Not a gig 'em, but a thumbs up.
Right.
Do you know what I could do?
Yes, I do. Have you heard of this thing called motivosity?
Motivosity?
Yes, it's like motivate and
Curiosity.
curiosity. Yes,
Where could I find this? Is it an app, paper, bird?
it's a little web app, a portal, if you will, that you can find on the internet. So on the company apps, as well as at ro.motivosity.com. You just type that in your little web browser, and it's a nice little portal. You can find any employee at RO, and you can search them up, and you can give them that little kudos that you were looking for.
Is this kudos a note? Is there some monetary attached to it? Is there a gift? Or how does it, what can I send them?
Right. It's a little note, and what's really neat is you can actually tag what core value that person, that employee embodied. It can be a single person, multiple people, and then you have a little bit of funds that you can dip into that RO gives you every month, and you can actually give them $1 or $2.
And what can I do with all the Motivosity bucks that I get?
Well, you can amass that, and then you can dump it into something like a gift card, Amazon, Target, any of those, or you can actually buy things like on the RO store, right? So pretty much the sky's the limit on what you can do with that money.
That's very exciting. Thanks, Hagen. I think you solved my problem.
I think so.
I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes sending some bucks to people.
I hope so. Hope I'm one of them.
And the place is called Motivosity?
Motivosity.
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 Where you can acknowledge, encourage, and celebrate one another.
Talking to Lacey about that. Just
Probably all the
little-
equipment and lights.
it'd be nice, as I don't think this room was built for having, 5 people and multiple computers and lights and all these things going at the same time. But we're here. We're making it happen. So, Miss Jennifer Gonzalez, thank you so much for driving all the way up from Houston today to come see us. I'm sure that we're the only people you're seeing while you're here because we're that exciting, right?
Well, I've got a couple of people to gotta make best use of my time.
Yeah, especially with the traffic and all that. But we're super excited to have you up here and happy you could make it up. What is your current role for those that aren't familiar with you?
I am the director of Houston, leading the operations teams and just being part of business development, helping out jack of all trades or Jill of all trades. I just really have been helping out in every department, just trying to hone in and make Houston market, a real product for RO.
What's your favorite part of that role? You mentioned you kind of, being a Jill of all trades and wearing many different hats. Is there one of them in particular where you're like, yeah, I'm super fired up about doing this today?
I like a little of all of it. I do miss being in the field day to day. So that's where my heart is that's where I grew my career is in operations. So I have to say that's my favorite.
So that's kind of a curious point. Then you are now the director of the Houston office. How did you get there? They just like pull you out of college and say you're running the Houston office, or is there more of a progression?
No, the Houston office has gone through some changes in the last 18 months, and I've grown my career in Houston. I feel like I knew the market. I have a lot of relationships. I've always built in Houston, and as we were making this churn of what's going to work in Houston, I just made a pitch, and we created some work pipeline. And slowly we added on staff, and we've been able to grow the office to what it is today from where it's been. Previously, when I was in operations, I was thinking about becoming a client director. I was a senior PM running teams. Uh, some of my mentors have always said that, I could have a knack for business development because I've been able to talk to people and just connect.
I can see that.
Thanks. So the client director role is kind of what I was thinking. I had talked to previous leaders about stepping in. I think this role that I'm currently in is kind of a hodgepodge of everything. I'm still very involved in operations and helping the teams and really just trying to remove obstacles from them or remove obstacles for them.
Hit a sweet spot for me there. I love hearing that. So, I, Hagen over there gives me a hard time. He's like, "Oh, you're the boss." I said, "No, no, no, no. I am responsible for you. I'm just here to remove roadblocks. Like that is what as far as the title of an R&D manager goes. Like I'm here to make you as capable as possible." So I love hearing that from other people because I think you can do fantastic things. You can do great work. I have no doubt that you would absolutely do fantastic as a client director. But then you're pulling in a project at a time versus directing an office where you can now develop 5 client directors, where you can develop 5 senior project managers, and you become a force multiplier and you're able to create so much more value by leveraging your skill set versus just kind of honing in on that one thing.
Yeah, honestly, one of the challenges for me as I've grown into this role is coming from operations and managing projects. You're always um, being able to identify those alligators that are coming over your desk, and you see them coming, and you're just kind of like whack a mole. You're just knocking them out. So I'm used to immediate results, and for me, as challenge is being more strategic and looking more towards the horizon line and seeing, well, where is RO Houston going that far out.
S-
So it's just a mindset change of immediate results to more strategic results.
Very well put. Beautiful thing. Uh, you've spent some time with other GCs and some that are, I would say, are some of the strongest competition to RO. And I mean that in a very respectful way towards them. I think they're great builders and all that. But there's something that's kept you here for 5, 6 years now.
Yeah, a little bit over 6 years.
What do you think it is that makes us different? Why are you still hanging out with us? Why are we so lucky to have Jennifer Gonzalez on our team today?
So little story about that. I followed my previous leader from another organization to RO. I had left that group in August of 2014. He had left in January of 2014, and he opened the Houston RO office. And as soon as I left, he was calling me saying, "Hey, you need to come to RO. You need to come to RO." And I'd already made another move. I went to another firm, and I didn't feel like that firm was quite the fit for me. I was missing out on something. And Greg Lynch, who was previous leader, he knew what I was missing out. He knew I was missing that growth environment and the culture of having a team around you. And so I stayed at that firm for 2 years, and when I made the 2 year mark, he called me on the right day, and I was like, "All right, let's talk." He's like, "I've got a spot for you," and I joined in November of 2016 as a senior PM, and RO's kept me here because I feel like it's a nurturing environment. It's a growth environment. You have the opportunity to be vulnerable, to share your weaknesses and your strengths because you're surrounded by a team that just shores you up on every aspect of what we do in building.
Gosh, and I keep screwing myself up because I have this goal of always asking, "What do you love about RO?" And I keep leading everyone there without asking the question. But that's all good. No, I think we've heard that from so many people. Just the environment of opportunity is unparalleled and so powerful too. Just whether it be Mr. Grammer going through and creating this whole operational excellence and implementing the playbook and what's Procore and all those types of tools, or someone like yourself that saw an opportunity and said, "Hey, I think we can make this happen. I think this is how we do it," and being told, "Great, let's go. What resources do you need? What roadblocks do you have?"
That's a
That's
perfect example. And having the trust to make the opportunity a real viable product. I had some ideas. I shared that with leadership. I thought, here are our strengths, here are our weaknesses. We've got a good core team. Let's build upon that. And we were very fortunate with a big, huge project that thank you to the mission critical team. Huge project that came into Houston that really gave us the foundation and runway to build on that. But going back to the RO culture is, and I'm sure you're seeing it with what you're doing here in your own group, is they're giving you those opportunities to work a little differently and build on those strengths.
Does seem like one of the few places where, as not a small company, really. I know we have a small company feel, but doing almost $1 billion in revenue, 500 plus employees, like that's not a small group of people, but they still allow that entrepreneurial spirit.
Totally, totally.
And I think that's where a lot of other organizations kind of cut themselves short to some degree. They don't let people have that flexibility to take what they're passionate about and really drive at it. I don't think, I know at least we didn't see these live streams, podcasts, whatever we're calling them. Like, it was just something like I went around and asked people, hey, what is R&D not doing well? I said, you guys aren't communicating very well. I was like, great, we'll do a live stream and you can call and ask us any questions you want about any ideas that you've submitted or thoughts you have, anything you know about R&D. We'll stream for an hour or whatever, and you can call in. And other people are like, yeah, it was really cool. Like, guy come in and talk, or are these going to be something you keep doing? It's like, hadn't planned on it, but sure, why not? So
How many other building companies have a department like this?
yeah, not
They don't. So I think
many.
RO really provides that freedom for creativity. And everyone uses the word collaborative, collaborative, collaborative. But what is it truly? And it's when you get the best ideas that bubble to the top with a group of people working together. And sometimes it's the foreign idea that no one's ever thought of. And instead of why we can't do that, tell me how we can do that.
So I'm sorry, this is off list now, but
Oh, we're on a script.
we're going way off script. I'm gonna say I'm sorry. I'm really not that sorry. So this is something that I've always been fascinated about. Is like, how do you know there's clear space to move into? Like you as an individual looked at Houston, you said there's opportunity here.
Hmm.
But how did you know that? Was that from just living, working in Houston? Was it, how were you able to align what you saw as the resources you had available with opportunities that you saw in Houston?
So the key word you said, align. So you look at your talent pool. What are we good at? We're good at the complex projects. We're good at the complicated projects where an owner is going to see the value of what RO as a whole brings to the table with CPP and VDC. Um, we as a company have that product to sell. So looking at the Houston market, um, and Houston's one of the most diverse cities in business and culture and people. But we have the mission critical, we have the healthcare, we have the higher education, worship, and just big business in Houston. And there's a lot of opportunity there, and we needed to align the projects that we were throwing all of our effort into. Where are we going? Where's the win? Because you need to analyze the projects you're pursuing and the chances that you're going to win the project, because it takes money to make money.
Oh, for
Your
sure.
estimating department, your marketing department. So when you go through and you score all those projects of where your wins are, you got to put forth your best effort.
What do you think it is about you that has allowed you to do that better, arguably, than anyone else down there in Houston?
I rely a lot on the team, a lot on our team's strengths, the talent that we have to sell, and our capabilities to pull it off. And I, I, I don't want to say it's just me. Um, it's sh- going in and being more focused on the work that we're going and how we're going to get it. And there are projects that we pass on that seem great to build, and they would be great to have on our resume. But sometimes we have to pass on those because we're not going to align right with the client. But to answer your question, I don't think it's me. I think it's the team as a whole.
I think there's a lot to be said about that, and just in empowering those and listening to those as well. We any of these projects, any project over $500,000 is too complex for any person to understand. Whether you've got the budget side of things and safety and the project management side of things and getting the trades on board and then getting them to execute the work, like no one person can do all of that for anything. So if you even if you start a project with that mindset, or if senior leadership has that mindset, it's not going to work. Like if you try and maintain control, but I think that empowerment of others and trusting those other people, saying, "Hey, you're an expert in estimating. Tell me, like, are these the best partners? Did we get the best bids? Did we leave anything out?"
Right. And using our own internal resources, just not just Houston, but on a project type or a constructability review, is just looking around and knowing what, doing an inventory of your resources, reaching out to other regions. And I talked to individuals in Dallas and Austin and San Antonio, Waco now. Hey, this is a similar project. Did you come across this? What are we not looking at? And as long as you make the plan of attack to be able to cover all those bases and using your resources to 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 be better.
Love it. Love hearing that. Um, I know you said you spent some time as a senior project manager prior to your role as the director of Houston. What are some of the characteristics and traits that you look for that make a good project manager?
To be nimble, because as I was talking about alligators over, I don't remember who said that
Well,
to
I was
me
gonna say,
years
where'd this
ago.
come from? I've
I
not
don't
heard this.
know. Probably some crusty superintendent.
This is someone from Louisiana. It had to be,
Yes,
right?
it was
It's either
probably
Louisiana or Florida.
old superintendent I used to work with. His last name is Bro. So yes, this sounds right. But I think that's where I picked it up. You- You're gonna fight fires every day, and building, no matter what role you're in, is a stressful job because the game always changes. Now, that's one of the reasons I feel like I've thrived in construction. You definitely don't get bored, but you can't get overwhelmed with the challenges that come at you. There's going to be a problem every day. You just got to be willing to accept that. So, one of the characteristics I look in a team member is someone that doesn't get overwhelmed by the problem. Here's here's the challenge. Comes up with a solution. Thinks outside the box. Is organized in some way. We all organize ourselves differently. Communicates well, can inspire others, especially when the times get tough. So positive attitude, tenacity, um, are a lot of strengths.
I like that tenacity in there. That's something I think a lot, or at least I don't think about frequently. But yeah, you definitely are going to need that at some point in time. So unrelated to construction, you're from Katy, correct?
I did grow up in Katy, yes.
Or you right grow up
Yeah,
according to your own
I
words.
was born on a naval base,
Okay.
and I moved to Katy, yes, when I was 4. So yeah, I can't say I'm officially a Texan because some Texans will get on me for that, but
I feel your pain there. I've
yes.
lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else in my life, military brat as well. So it's like might as well be from Texas. I owned land here. I was in the National Guard. Like, how much more do you guys want before you can call me a Texan? But one thing that, having not grown up here, not gone to high school in Texas,
Yes.
what's the deal with the mums in Katy? The mums for prom?
You mean the mums?
Apparently so. Yeah.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong person. 2 reasons. I never was bought a mum in high school. I did not have a
It's a
homecoming date.
sad story
I know,
now.
I know. And I have 3 sons, so
Gotcha.
my 3 boys have. So we've purchased some mums, but yes, I don't have the answer.
They're like,
I think it's like the higher the hair, the closer to God. Bigger the mum. I don't know.
Where do you go to get those? That like, do you just swing into HEB before
Uh,
prom, or is there like
well,
mom shops?
If you're lowballing, you probably go into HEB and get one. Otherwise, there are ads for people to make these mums. And do you have any idea how much the mums go for?
No, I don't.
Yeah, they're like $200 to $500.
You're kidding me.
That's why I don't get the mums. I just
For a high school prom, $500
homecoming. Not prom, homecoming in the fall.
or homecoming. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah. Oh
With the
my
ribbons,
gosh.
and then the guys
I-
get the garters, and they have like a mini mum. It's gotten a little out of hand.
I think
It's a
so.
little extra.
Yeah. Send those kids out in the field. Tell them to go pick some blue bonnets. Put a little
No,
love into it.
we rice harvest in Katy, but
That's funny. That's I was kind of looking for interesting things about Katy, and I saw that people used to go swimming in the rice fields in Katy.
okay, that's a true story though.
Really?
Yes.
So do you have experience in this?
I do. So growing up, the road I grew up on is now a major road in Katy and goes to the freeway. Before it didn't go to the freeway, it had 2 dead ends. One dead end was at the bayou, one dead end was at the rice field, the rice wells. So, not that I'm proud of it, but in the summer, I have been swimming in the bayou and I have been swimming in the rice wells.
Represent
There's a
Katy.
fun fact.
Swimming in the rice wells. That's something I never would have like guessed about Texas prior to living here. So that's a fun little bit of information. I like that. Would you consider yourself a morning bird or more of a night owl?
Night owl.
Night owl, really?
Yeah.
That must be
And the
tough.
guys back at the office, they're probably, if they're listening in, they're probably joking because no one likes to really talk to me until 9 a.m. after I've had a couple cups of coffee.
I think only
Try. Now, if there's a 3 a.m. pour and I have to be there, I will be there. I'm not going to be exactly thrilled about it, but I'll be there. The only time to get up early at 4 a.m., okay, besides work, is travel and fishing. Those are the only reasons to get up early.
travel and fishing. Now,
Travel and
travel,
fishing.
I know you're a big traveler.
Try.
You love to get out there with your husband, right? You
Yep.
guys are all about it, going and seeing places. But the fishing, I wasn't familiar with.
Do you like to fish?
Me?
I do.
No,
like
I
fish.
don't
Do you like
make
to
time
fish?
for it. No, I don't do anything.
I mean, I'm not great at it, but I'm not great at golf either. I still enjoy it. I like to be outside.
I realized I shouldn't golf after I went to my first golf tournament in college, and I took a pack of 18 balls, thinking there's 18 holes. I'll finish, and by like the 14th hole, I was out of
You should go to
balls.
the driving range first.
Yeah, yeah. But what kind of fishing do you like to just go down to the beach and fish, or do you go out and do the deep sea, or
Yes and yes.
yeah, both?
So-
Okay.
I prefer saltwater, inshore and offshore. Freshwater fishing I've done. I haven't done it in probably 30 years. But yeah, I try.
Oh, that's fun. That's you have particular fish you like to go out and catch whenever you're doing the saltwater.
Inshore, redfish and trout. Offshore, snapper, but it's not that hard. Still want to go on a tuna trip that requires spending the night out on the boat, and I can't get friends with big enough boats to talk me into it. Have done some. I've been in a billfish tournament in Costa Rica. That was super fun.
Very cool. Yeah.
It was just an excuse really to go to Costa Rica. That's travel and fishing.
Hitting all the
Uh,
fun
I'm
check
an
boxes.
adventurer. I like to go out and just experience life outside.
What's been your favorite travel destination?
It's tough.
Yeah. Is it more the experience for you than the destination, like going out and trying something new, and whether it be a new culture, new food, new sights?
All the above.
Yeah.
Food, if it has history involved, architecture,
Mm.
food, and outdoors, count me in. So I don't have I can't say I have a favorite place yet. I'm still on the quest.
Do you have any what do you call that? Like like places you bucket list trips that you're trying to make happen?
Thailand.
Thailand. Okay. Just go off some of those beaches. They've got that beautiful, I don't know the name of it, but that rock arch that I feel like you see in all the photos, people
Oh,
swimming underneath
yeah,
and all
I
that.
can-
Yeah, you
yeah.
can sign me up for that any day of the week. So far though, it's what 20 hours on a plane or something like that.
That's
the
what's-
downside.
Well, that and having 3 boys has prevented me from going before, but they're all grown. We're going to be empty nesters.
Whenever you're
in
spending
August.
$500 on a mum for a homecoming, I can
Right.
understand that's a cutting into your travel budget a bit.
Don't buy those. I told you.
So you've grown a lot at RO, and you're doing incredible things down in Houston. Who have been some of your biggest advocates inside and outside of RO?
Biggest advocates. Well, I would say Greg for getting me here to RO. Both Cisco and Leon have helped me in this journey in the last 18 months. Austin's been a year, and it seems like that's the thing that when I knew I made the right decision to step into this role is just the support. So they're all advocates, Justin, Austin, Leon, and Cisco. I mean, even I got phone calls from individuals I wasn't expecting to encourage me. So it's just nice to hear. It's you're on the right track. But in the past, stepping into construction is not what I was expecting to do when I was 18, 19 years old. I thought I was going to be a dental hygienist, which I never, yeah. but I had some people in my life that have really encouraged me. The gentleman that introduced me to construction that really taught me how to do a takeoff very first beginning. Um,
So, hold on. Let's rewind that
I think you have enough
like a
time.
minute. How did you go from
Dental hygiene to construction?
those aren't like even
No.
close to, like
Adjacent? No.
John Archer being like, oh, I was thinking about the
No.
Marines, or I was thinking about being a cabinet maker, like into construction. I get that. That makes sense. But dental hygienist to
Yeah,
director of
I
Houston.
had someone that that inspired me. I couldn't figure out what I wanted. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had to, you feel that pressure at 18 and figure out what you're going to be when you grow up. Like you have to have it all figured out. And something led me to that. And I started taking, all my pre-quals and prereqs for it. And it wasn't the best decision for me. I don't want to put my hands in anybody's mouth. So um, flash forward, I was working for a medical dental insurance company. So I was dental adjacent, right? Anything you ever do in life, there's always an opportunity to be had where you can move your path forward. So I was working for a healthcare insurance company and hated it. And a close family friend who had an interior construction company, his business was growing. He needed someone to keep him organized. He asked if I would come in and be his office administrator. So I think I was 20, 22, 24 at that time. So I started being his administrator, and business was growing. And he asked me, would you be interested in learning how to read drawings and doing takeoffs for me? And yeah, he, he asked me this, which I think is funny. I don't know if it, so this is when there was actual paper drawings.
Yeah.
He asked me, can you read a map? Well, we traveled a lot when I was a kid, and my dad would pull out the Rand McNally app, and I could read a map. I'm like, yeah, why? He goes, well, if you can read a map, you can read drawings. Because you have to refer back to sections and know what
Right.
the symbols mean. That was his connection. So anyway, I learned how to read drawings, did takeoffs, bid jobs. We won the jobs. Now he needed a project manager to manage those jobs. The construction happened to me. And being involved in the projects and the pace of the projects, whether you're on a project for 4 months or 2 years and working with different teams, that was where I fell in love with it. Is that everything's always changing.
Whether you want it to or not.
You're not going to get bored because you're always solving problems, and your team is always changing. So it's the people and the problems. That's why I'm here.
The good people and the fun problems,
Even
right?
some of the tough people that we're always learning.
Yeah.
We're always, not win or lose. There's a win or learn, and
Ooh.
that statement speaks a lot to me.
Like that. Not win or lose, win or learn. Write that one down, Dr. Fritz. That I'm holding on to that one. What have been some of the more difficult situations that you've had to navigate as a leader, and how did you get through them?
Difficult situations as
Whether as a project manager or as the director of Houston, or even as a dental hygienist student.
We're not talking about that again. I would say that when people get heated and they take things personally, whether it's in the office setting or out on a job site, people are so focused on wanting to have the right answer and be right that you kind of have to dismantle the problem to have people come in with a fresh perspective, and walking people through those challenges and taking their personal side of it and wanting to be right, or working through challenges out on site, maybe between different trades. This trade wants this because it's going to better him, and this trade wants the other thing because it's. But how do you work together for the better of the project, and getting people to kind of really step back and focus? That's a challenge.
What kind of skills and traits do you think best help someone overcome those challenges? I would assume there's some level of being a a fluid, effective communicator?
Communication is very helpful. A little bit of psychology
Really? Okay.
because people come to work every day with their own problems, and you never know what's going on in somebody's life. And people don't mean to bring that, but it's just who we are as humans.
It's inevitable. You can't separate the person and their emotions from what they do.
I have a friend that calls me Switzerland because she gets frustrated because I see things from all sides, and I'm like, well, they have a valid point. You have a valid point. She's like, why are you always Switzerland? Can't you just pick a side? Like, you need to see the whole thing through a clear lens.
I'm just saying they didn't have to shoot at U.S. planes in World War II, but they did anyways. You know,
What?
as they were shooting U.S. We flew over their airspace, and they're like,
Oh.
"No, we're neutral. You
Oh,
can't do
Switzerland.
that." And they shot down our
yeah,
planes, and
okay.
it's just like, really, like I understand you're neutral, but did you have to shoot it or shoot at everybody? I don't know. Seems a little suspect to me, but them and the Irish, we gotta keep an eye on those folks. Just a little too neutral at times.
Too neutral. So you're a fan of the pick a side.
I think in certain situations, there's a right and a wrong.
I mean, don't get
And
me wrong. When I'm really passionate for something, I'm
Yeah.
going hard at it.
I'm a very passionate person, as these three will attest to in here. But that's a whole other discussion that's had between me and people that I give a bunch of money every week. Uh, so you came into the construction industry somewhat unexpectedly. Do you feel that being and I believe it's Women in Construction Month, right?
Last month,
Last month?
I should.
Like-
It was a week. We think we get a
Is it
week.
week?
We get a
Oh,
week. It's
okay.
Women's Month, but Women in Construction
A
Week.
Gotcha. See, I'm sorry. I
All
should
these
have better
things.
prepared here. It was Women's Month, and we have a female in construction here. Do you feel like it's more difficult for you to navigate as a female in a generally male-dominated industry? I want to say, gosh, that sounds terrible.
That's what it was, though.
It's
I mean, I've been in the industry for 25 years. I walked into an organization that had 2 women, um, but those 2 women were project managers, and I could see that's where I wanted to go at the time. And working for a company that had that, I knew there was a path. And there, it was more of a challenge then. I would like to hear a fresh approach of a young woman coming into the industry now, because like the women that I worked with before and what hopefully I have done in the last 25 years is kind of changed the environment a little bit. I mean, to be honest, when I got to RO, there wasn't a lot of women that worked in operations just 6 years ago, and the faces have changed. And I would say there were challenges, but with your experience, you gain the confidence. And I'm talking 25 years ago, I worked with, like I said, Mr. Bro. He was rusty superintendent who had a heart of gold, but once he knew I was there to learn and there was a reason I chose the industry, once it chose me and when I was committed, he invested a lot of time into me. So uh, my advice, not that you asked for advice,
That was gonna be the follow-up question.
was
So.
it for anybody, male or female, coming into the industry right out of college, is ask a lot of questions and don't be afraid to sound dumb. I mean, when I came in, I came from an interior group, and then I switched to general. I couldn't tell you the difference between a sprinkler pipe and conduit when I was looking up. And I would just have the drawings open. I would walk them with the foreman. The advice is meet the foreman on the job, have them share your craft, have them share their craft with you, ask the questions, and get involved with as many networking opportunities. Yeah, young leaders programs, CLC. I heard you talking about you guys talking about earlier. Any organization that gives you that edge of knowledge.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I feel like we've heard similar things from others. Just like ask a lot of questions. That's the only way you're going to learn. Nobody knows everything, and whenever you are walking the site with a fire protection foreman who's been doing this for 30 years, that is the world's best resource
It
on
is.
anything fire sprinkler.
Sometimes these guys look rough around the edges, but they're just people.
Yeah. Right. And I think too, at least in my experience, they generally want to share their craft. They want to share that information. They, like I said, they might have a bit of a rough exterior. You might get a bit of a gruff answer, but if you ask why, it'd be like, well, why doesn't it happen in this way? Or like, I don't understand that. They start kind of elaborating. Usually they're more than happy to, if concrete's coming in, that's a bit different, but they're more than happy to sit there and kind of wander through that a bit with you and explain and elaborate and
They
go into
do.
the details of how things come together and why they have to go together in a certain order, a certain fashion. And I think it's a shame whenever people don't take advantage of that resource that's standing right in front of them.
It's human nature. Nobody likes to be wrong. I'm wrong a lot.
Oof. I thought I was wrong once. Turns out I was just mistaken, thankfully. Uh, we got some chuckles. God, we only have 10 minutes left. These go by so fast. I feel like we sat down 5 minutes ago.
And fun.
If you were out traveling and you were stuck on a deserted island, what two things are you taking with you?
A deserted island?
Yeah,
Is it a tropical island?
sure. We're not. It was. Yeah, we're not going to put you up in like the North Atlantic or anything. You're not like off the coast of Greenland
Okay.
below freezing. Yeah, it's tropical.
Okay. Sunblock.
Oh,
For
that's
sure.
okay. Number one.
Yeah.
What? You only get to take two things, and your first thought is sunscreen.
It's gonna sound corny, but I'm taking sunblock and my husband, Brandon.
Wow. Oh, that's so endearing.
Aw. Well, he makes me laugh. He makes life easy for me, and he's pretty crafty.
Wow. There you go. He's gonna find a way to get you off that island, is what you're hoping for.
Yeah.
Or
Maybe
maybe
we'll
just
just stay there.
Yeah.
I mean,
You'd fish,
See.
right? If you're on like a little archipelago, you can build a little canoe, go off to some other islands. Things aren't sounding so bad now. Alright. Sunblock and your husband.
I don't know if there's really a right answer. But
There
those are the
certainly
first two
isn't.
that come to my mind.
Oh. Well, hey, that's what we like to hear. Excuse me. Do you feel like I would call you a very strong leader? Do you feel like leaders are born or are they made?
Ooh.
And if they are made, what do you think it is that makes a person that is not a natural leader into a leader?
I want to say that they are made. Um, Life experience, you know, you say life experience, some people will step into the leadership role, and that's like the nature debate. But without those experiences, people aren't going to step in.
What do you think it is about those experiences? I think whenever I hear that too, I'm thinking it's not only experiences, it's a variety of experiences.
Mm-hmm.
It's the putting yourself in, I wouldn't say compromised situations, but just in very different environments seems to do something. What do you think it is about that? Or do you think it's something else entirely about those experiences that allows an individual to become a more developed leader?
I think those experiences, that's a big the nurture versus nature debate is there's something that's going to be ignited within you to act. Whether those experiences are in business or just personal as a child or as an adult.
Yeah, that's gosh, so interesting because it comes down almost to those the stimulus, and you kind of build different responses to things that happen that go on around you, and that does seem to kind of shape how you lead and how you act around others. I think a lot more than we like to admit or acknowledge on a regular basis. I think we like to believe that we have control. That no, like what I aim to do, what I study, what I read, what I talk to others about, what I go to class for, whatever. Like that is going to be what shapes me as a leader. But a lot of it does seem to be that external stimuli that occurs and shaping us into what we amount to.
Yeah, some people have to be ignited. Mm. Some people will go out there and just march forward and wait for people to join them.
Do you have any keys on how to ignite people? Do you have any like particular tasks or I don't know ways that you encourage people to try and get that fire going and kind of see what happens, or how does that happen for you?
To understand people's why.
Mm,
Why do they show up to work every day? Why do they want to be in construction? Just thinking about the work aspect. What's important to that individual and make it personal to them.
gosh, yeah, that's I think so important with all of that. Just having that personal connection, right? It's easy to bark orders at somebody or to work with people and just, hey, do this, do that, whatever, and kind of forget about it. But you never, I think without that personal connection, you never achieve any level of greatness or exceptional anything, whether it be your newest office engineer or a trade partner that you've been working with, a plumber that you've been working with for 20 years. Like if you can have that personal connection, you're able to go so much
Sure.
further as a team as compared to um, trying to force leadership type thing.
You got to make it personal.
Yeah.
Commitment, buy-in.
What would you recommend to those out there that are saying, well, I want to make things more personal? How can they, what are some steps they could take to achieve that with their teams?
It's so funny because Generation X, work is work, home is home. Not supposed to mix the two.
Are you generation? I don't know what any of them are.
Yes.
Okay.
But when I joined the workforce, you weren't supposed to bring your personal stuff to work. Like there was no fold over or mesh in of the two. And I really think that dynamic has changed for the better. I hit a little bit on it previously, understanding what kind of day someone's having. And it's just to get to know people. What interests them, what makes them tick, um, as a person and not just as a commodity. Not what can you do for me?
Right. Yeah. I think there was a period in time, maybe, 40, 50 years ago, whatever, where you kind of get by on some pretty simplistic heuristics. You didn't have to like deeply understand the system that is a company or a project or whatever. And those projects or companies were simple enough where it's like, it's fine. Like, I don't need you to perform at 90% because you at 60% is good enough for the complexity of things that we're doing. That's no longer the case. Like, these projects are so big and complex, and these teams are so. I look at like the Microsoft project team where it's
Yeah.
nearly 100 people, and you can't be a project manager who says, "Well, I'm just going to show up, tell everyone what to do, and go home." Like, no, you need to understand like what motivates those individuals and how to get them engaged and how to, whenever they're not having a good day, acknowledge, and understand, and hopefully help them through that. Because you can't afford them to perform at 50% for a week. You need to figure out
No,
like
no,
what's
it's
going
not
on.
sustainable. And you all,
Right.
I mean, the project itself, or any organization, any company, um, you have to have a common goal.
Oh,
And I mean, I guess Justin hit on it a little bit at the beginning of the year, with our OKRs. We all have to be marching to the same beat.
I think too, it allows you to communicate so much more effectively. You don't have to sit there and whenever we sat down, I sat down and say, Jennifer, we're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna talk out loud. We're gonna speak in English.
Good.
Like all of these
Because
things
I don't
were.
know Spanish. Everyone always thinks I know Spanish because I'm Gonzales. I don't know Spanish.
Oh, it's funny.
Poquito.
Yeah.
The bad words. Sorry.
Stay out of
English.
those.
Keep going. Sorry. Stay on task. Stay on task.
All good. There is no task. The task is to have fun and get to know Jennifer Gonzalez a little bit. I think we're doing great on that task. Uh, I totally lost it now.
Totally
Too.
made you lose
Like
it.
that's yeah. All good. Well, we have like 3 minutes left, anyways. I can't believe how fast these go by. One last question I do have for you.
Uh-oh.
What would you tell young Jennifer?
Oh, God.
Oh boy. And this can be as benign or self-incriminating as you'd like it to be.
Don't entertain being a dental hygienist.
Save yourself a couple of years of school and effort there.
That period didn't last too long, but that was the only concept. Is that in junior high I was going to be a marine biologist? That doesn't
Like a
sound so
little
bad
Jacques
either.
Cousteau type thing going on.
No. What would I tell young Jennifer? That everything's going to be fine. You know, sometimes the hardest thing to do is just show up, but you'll get through it day by day, no matter what challenges are thrown at you.
You'll find a way.
And find a way.
All right. Gosh, I
The
love
two
that.
shall pass.
Yeah, that's I don't know what it is about humans, but we seem to imagine the most negative thing possible, and we focus on that so much. Or you could have 99 people tell you, "Hey, great job today," and then one person says, "Dude, why'd you park so close to my truck?" And that one person who says, "Why'd you park so close to my truck?" is what rings in your head for the next 3 days, and not the 99 people that said, "Oh man, that was awesome, good
Yeah.
work, great job, this was fantastic."
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's very well put and something we can all learn from,
Yeah, and I
including
think
young
that
Jennifer.
question kind of hits. Recently, like I said, I have 3 boys, and my youngest is 17. So I've just coming out of those teenage years.
Youngest is 7. That took a second to click.
So 17, um, 27, and 22. Right? They're all 5 years apart. So
Okay.
I went through 15 years of having teenage boys in the house. And so when you ask me that question, I think about young me being that between 15 and 25 age span, and it, just gonna get through life. It's all gonna be okay.
Well, congratulations, boy. 3 boys, and yeah, that last one is
Yeah. So
is
3 boys, lived with all men, worked with all men. I had a coworker that said, "Well, you're kind of like a dude," which so I'm a little rough around the edges, I guess sometimes.
I don't know.
Thanks for having
I
me.
don't know if I see it. Thank you so much for joining us, Jennifer. This was a lot of fun. I had an absolute blast talking with you. I love that we're getting so many Houston folk in here between yourself, and then we had Wes on a couple weeks back, and
Mhm.
I think we've got. I haven't reached out to him yet, but I put Callum Kelly on the list. So
All right.
I'm looking forward to that one. I want to say sometime mid to late April, if I'm not mistaken. So Callum, we'll be reaching out to you.
He's probably listening.
And to everyone out there, Cesar, thank you for. Oh, we're good. Okay, we're learning, folks. We're getting better each time. Thank you all for jumping in and watching this. We'll have it out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, hopefully in today, tomorrow by the latest. And next week we will have Mr. Kevin Porter joining us to talk about people services. So
Dad jokes.
lots of dad jokes to look forward to.
Love it. Love it. I used to have a deal with him that he had to call me every Friday with a dad joke. It lasted for about 6 months.
Do you have any you want to share before we cut off here?
I'm going to write a book. It'll be out.
Save it for the publishers. Thank you again, Jennifer, and thank you to everyone that's out there. We'll see you next week.